a silly grin the moment you come into view.
A fresh new mix every hour from Magic 92.5 WGHQ.
Someone's gonna thank the stars. Giving you all the best from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. So much great music all in one place. That's amazing. And it's on Magic 92.5 WGHQ.
From this moment, life has begun. From this moment, you are the one. Right beside you is where I belong. From this moment on, from this moment, I have been blessed. I live only for your happiness and for your love. I'd give my last breath. From this moment on, I give my hand to you with all my heart. I can't wait to live my life with you. I can't wait to start. You and I will never be apart. My dreams came true. Make yours of you. From this moment, as long as I live, I will love you. I promise you this, there is nothing I wouldn't give. From this moment on. You're the reason I believe in love, and you're the answer to my prayers from up above. All we need is just the two of us. My dreams came true. Because of you. From this moment, as long as I live, I will love you. I promise you this, there is nothing I wouldn't give. From this moment, I will love you as long as I live. From this moment on.
This is the Hudson Valley station for great songs and magic memories. 920 WGHQ AM Kingston and 92.5 W223CR FM Kingston, New York. We're streaming through our website, WGHQ.FM, and you can listen on your smart speaker when you say, play WGHQ from TuneIn. This is Magic 92.5 WGHQ with another hour of great songs and magic memories, starting right now.
But just to look at that girl with the lights coming up in her eyes. She's got to be somebody's baby. She
to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
To battle is to fight, to struggle, to overcome, and ultimately for the Marine Corps, it means to win. There is no alternative. It's not just a statement of intent. It's a promise to our nation. A promise kept for more than 2 centuries. A promise of the Marines.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Grammer. Wounded Warrior Project supports injured veterans by connecting them with fellow warriors, by serving them through mental health and wellness programs, and by empowering them to live on their own terms. No one should face a battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Jared Mans from the Spring Lake Fire Department, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
Thank you, Lawrence, and good morning, listeners and viewers. This is the Kingston Community Radio Wednesday morning talk show, broadcasting live from our studios, 16 Lucas Avenue, right here in Kingston, New York. We would love to hear from you. 331-9255 is our call-in number. Any concerns you have, any questions? I'm expecting the mayor from the Village of Sorgeties, Bill Murphy, who I did see at Stewart, so I know he's on his way, and Fred Costello, town supervisor from Sorgeties. He'll be here in a few minutes also. And as I say that, the mayor from the Village of Sorgeties comes in grand style. Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning. I drive a little slower than you.
Little chilly this morning, huh?
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's right. That's for you, Greg. That's real chilly, right? It was 48 when I walked to work this morning.
Yeah, my car said 48.
Yeah, when I pulled in here, it was 44, so maybe it went up a little bit. But you know what? It's late September.
Yeah.
Yep. October 1st is Friday, if you can believe that.
So I put the cover on my pool yet, because I have to order a new cover.
Well, September's been, we've had some summer-like weathers. We had a couple days there with the temperatures and the humidity was like July, which, I'm not complaining about, but this had to come sooner or later.
Yeah.
And we got the Garlic Festival coming up.
Smell that. I see that. Yeah.
This weekend. You don't smell it yet.
But
You'll smell it Saturday and Sunday. And let's see, if the wind's blowing out of the northwest, it'll take it right to your house.
Out of the northwest to the east, yes. Yeah. Yes, true. Actually, yeah, I had my old boss from IBM contact me yesterday, and her and some friends from Pennsylvania are coming up to Garlic Festival. They want to know if they could buy tickets at the gate. And I said, yeah, because I looked on the website. I saw that online sales are closed now. It says on the site.
They closed them down about 2 weeks ago. For some reason, it hit 14 or 15,000 and shut down.
Huh.
Okay, and I remember, I think 2 years ago. But I don't know what the glitch is and what the problem is.
Something they set it at. I mean,
with. I would think so, but when I've talked to the people that run that. Maybe Patty Pretorius. Patty's going to be on at 8 o'clock. Maybe she can answer that question because, anymore, that's what people want to do.
Yeah.
It's convenience. Purchase online. The weather forecast looks real good. If there's any possibility of any kind of showers, it looks like later in the day on Sunday.
Yeah.
And that's still a little up in the air. But, it's the same way with our on-site parking, which is going to be available right up until 1 o'clock Friday afternoon. You can access the Kiwanis Ice Arena website. You can Google on-site garlic parking. It'll take you right to the link, a simple click. You pay via PayPal, and you get your ticket.
Now, are there any COVID restrictions or protocols in place? I'm just curious. Is there?
Yeah, that's going to be. I'm not sure if the Garlic Festival Committee is doing anything. And again, here that's one of the reasons I wanted to have Patty on this morning.
I'm just curious. I'm sure some people are wondering that.
Yeah.
But you're looking out right now. There's sports events going on with 50,000 people.
Oh yeah, so I was down to the Meadowlands with 78,000 people in that place on Sunday, and it's an outdoor venue.
Outdoor, right?
People do have the opportunity. I realize the Midway, Pavilion Street and Mosier Drive does get very, very crowded, but there's such an expanse of land and such an expanse of nothing takes place on the actual ball fields itself. So, there's ample opportunity for people to spread out if they feel they're...
And again, if you're uncomfortable, don't come.
Right. Yeah.
It's your choice. No one's forced to be there.
Nobody's forced to be there. Obviously, if you're not vaccinated, I think it's a good idea that you wear a mask.
Right.
Now that's something else I will ask her if they're going to.
It'd be tough to mandate, but maybe they'll have signs that suggest it or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And obviously they can't.
And now you're hearing these stories where people are making up these phony vaccination cards.
Incredible.
It is. It is. And what we've seen since the vaccines came on, and especially after the first couple of months, just with the efficacy of the vaccine. And I'm a broken record here. You've heard me say it many, many times. I just don't know the understanding, the rationale. People who can get the vaccine, and granted, there are people that with blood disorders,
right.
certain other medical, they can't get just like they can't get a flu shot, they can't get a COVID shot.
There's people giving up 6-figure-a-year jobs because they don't want to get a vaccine.
This is really going to be interesting when the mandate goes into effect. Is it this? I know
it's I think Friday.
Friday in New York City or all New York State.
I think it's New York City. I don't think
New York City and then New York State next week, I believe.
Mandate for teachers.
Mandate for teachers and medical.
Medical, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's Friday because they're saying, I saw the thing just yesterday on CNN. Nurses that are giving up their jobs because they don't want to get vaccinated, and
especially people in the medical field, what they have seen in the past 18 months.
I don't know. We obviously.
I now know 3 people that refused to get vaccinated.
I know a couple.
And got it. And one is really struggling. Was in the hospital, was out, back in, got respiratory problems, breathing problems, and now.
Well, you would think all these stories that have been coming out now, people who refuse to get vaccinated and are now dying, and there's on the news saying, "I wish I'd gotten a shot." Wouldn't that jar you a little bit? Saying, is it really worth it? Not getting a shot. One story where the mother and father, and they both died within a week of each other with 3 kids at home. And they on their deathbed, they pleaded for their children to not listen to them and get vaccinated. But you hear these 3 kids now have no parents,
right?
And these were parents in their 30s. I don't know.
I recall another one a couple of months ago. I'm not. I don't recall where it was, where a father was on a ventilator, and 7-8-year-old son standing on the other side of the glass, and they did a follow-up, I think a week later or thereabouts, and the son was there when the father died. Why would you subject your kids to that? Why would you subject those two kids that you just talked about to growing up with, what, foster parents?
I don't know. I was listening to CNN on the way in, and they're talking about the governor race of Virginia, and they had the debate last night, and the one candidate is saying, I encourage everybody to get a shot, but I don't think it should be mandated. And then he went on to explain how he feels the COVID shot is different than the mandate for measles and the flu and things like that. And, obviously his competition was saying, how can you differentiate between the two, and how can one mandate be okay and not the other? And
did measles cause a pandemic of this nature? Absolutely not. So if anything, that would be the reverse.
Well, his feeling is that there hasn't been enough research into the COVID shot, and they're like, how much more do you need? I mean, how many medical professionals have supported it and validated it, and again, I mean, I think the difference between, and again, you and I weren't around when the first measles pandemic hit, probably, which was in the 20s, 30s, whenever it was, maybe even prior to that. But look what this pandemic has done globally and how many lives it's cost. I mean, it's now the biggest, it's the biggest pandemic of all time, I believe.
Yes.
It surpassed the plague or whatever it was from 1918,
yeah.
It surpassed that number of deaths. And, I mean, isn't that enough? I mean, and I think the difference, too, is, I mean, with these other diseases, and I'm not obviously any kind of medical expert, but does measles and flu have this many different variants? That are spreading?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, it could very well be. And like you said, likewise here. I'm no medical expert, but it's very, very clear, and the writing's on the wall, and it looks like by sometime in late October, the FDA is going to approve the Pfizer for 5 to 12-year-olds.
Correct. And Pfizer's already been approved for the booster shot. Now, I had Moderna, so that hasn't been approved yet, the booster shot. So.
Yeah, they're saying a few more weeks for Moderna and Johnson & Johnson. And I think they expect Moderna to be next and then Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get, when it's available, I think I'm at, same as you are. We're probably right about, we got our shots in, so we're about 6 months right now, or 7 months. We got our second shot, March 1st, I think it was?
Well, if you remember, I got mine through the State Fire Association. Okay. I went to Utica and...
You went earlier?
I got my second on March 10th.
Okay, I got my second from Neil, which was, March, or maybe the end of March.
When did we do the...
I thought we did.
Was it early March or later in March?
They're both in March. Actually, it was, what it was, I know, actually.
One was on the 31st.
Yes.
I can tell you that.
So it was the 3rd and the 31st.
3rd and the 31st.
It was exactly 4 weeks apart we did them. So, yeah, so my second shot was March 31st, which was...
4 weeks apart or 3?
4. We did them 4 weeks apart.
Okay.
That I know. So that's what? That's March 31st, so I'll be at 6 months. So... and there's, studies say anywhere from 6 to 8 months, but when it comes available, I'll get it.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the big deal? Yeah. I go every year and get my flu shot. I get vitamin E shots every year.
I just had my flu shot last week because I got bit by another tick. Second this year.
I don't know why it's funny, like when I golf, and everybody always talks about I have cats. I've pulled ticks off my cats, but I've never found a tick on me, knock on wood.
Wow.
At least that I've found.
It was funny when I get bit by the tick in July. It was one day after I got bit the year before. So like it was on July 20th and July 21st. Seems every year I get...
I mean, maybe I do and I just don't realize it. I don't know. I mean, isn't it supposed to make a ring when it bites you?
Well, yeah, you'll get that little red.
Yeah.
What you really got to be careful of is what they call the bullseye.
Right.
When it starts to balloon.
Okay.
I got this one right here in the upper arm, and there's been no indication. But here's the deal: you never ever know. Right. So I just want to be safe with it, and
I stay out of the woods anyways because of my fear of snakes. So I mean, that kind of keeps me.
Who the heck sent me the picture down at the Glasgow Mini Park of a A rattler.
A rattler?
Yeah. I'm trying to think who the heck it was. I'd sent it to Keith, and then Keith had forwarded it to me.
I've heard it migrated closer to our area.
I mean, I couldn't believe the size of the thing.
Holy crap! I would have died. Well, my wife texted me on Sunday. I was home and she was somewhere, and she was at Price Chopper, and she goes, "You're not going to believe this." I go, "What?" She goes, "I'm standing at the meat counter to order food, and the guy behind the counter has a boa around his neck." I'm like, what?
I'm glad you didn't go in there. You would have fainted.
Holy crap. I mean, she goes, "I don't know if he's working or he's just visiting," but she goes, "He's one of the normal guys there." And I'm like, and I love Price Chopper. And I'm like, come on. I mean, what was I don't get it. I don't understand it. I mean, you can't, listen, I love my pets too, but I wouldn't bring my pets to work, and especially if it's a boa constrictor and have it around my neck while I'm at the counter. I mean, that seems a little too much to me. And despite my dislike for snakes, and I wouldn't bring my cat in the Price Choppers when I go grocery shopping. But yeah, I would have freaked. I would have dropped all my food and ran out of the store if I was there. So, such a phobia.
And a bell just went off in my head that I didn't. Well, we got to. Oh, you can't have silence on.
I know. I meant that. Are you? Have you had trouble getting traffic paint? Because we have our traffic paint's back ordered.
We did not have to order because we had quite a bit from last year. But everybody's field marking paint.
Yeah, well, the stuff, if we put down for the crosswalks and things like that. I've been trying to get all our crosswalks caught up, and Rich said we ran out of paint and it's back ordered. So it's not like my guys don't have enough to keep them busy.
So I mentioned the Garlic Festival a little bit earlier, and starting today, there's going to be some traffic restrictions, and possibly some road closures that could be taking place at any time on Bob Mosier Drive, Pavilion Street, and Court Drive. And then and that's going to be also effective for tomorrow. Friday, October the 1st, traffic into the complex will be restricted to those involved with the Garlic Festival setup and related deliveries, along with all permit holders. And just a reminder to those permit holders, they must be affixed to their windshield. They can't just have it in their hand or their dash. October 2nd and 3rd, which is the dates of the Garlic Festival. Obviously, there's no public vehicular traffic into the complex, especially south of Small World Avenue. That's all for booths. Only permit holders who have booths. Handicap parking, as it has been for many years, is in parking lot A. And then on-site parking, which is still available, you may purchase that online for $10, is also within the complex. It's the only on-site parking within the confines of the Cantine Veterans Complex. Free parking at Sorgetes High School, and also the HITS RV, which is the orange parking lot. And then for post-festival related, October 4th and the 5th, those same traffic restrictions that are being instituted for today and tomorrow on Mosier Drive, Pavilion Street, and Court Drive. And during those time frames, there are Sorgetes High School students who use the complex for school parking. They can park in parking lot A or the South Ice Arena parking lot on the school days prior to and after the Garlic Festival. Another note, probably the most important, on Saturday and Sunday, Mike Kraut Road from State Route 9W to Peoples Road, Canoe Hill Road, is one-way westbound. So if you're coming from what would be the west on Peoples Road or from the north on Sparling Road, you must go south on Canoe Hill. You cannot make that left and go west on Mike Kraut Road. So that'll be one way, both Saturday and Sunday.
You got this traffic down to a science now after all these years, huh?
Well, after 30 years, I've got to get it right sooner or later.
Like I was saying last week, I mean, honestly, anymore, outside the immediate area around the complex, it's hard to even tell the garlic festival's going on. I mean, partly because our streets are busy every weekend anyways.
Right, yes.
But it doesn't seem, I remember years back where there used to be a huge backup at the corner of Main and Washington and all that, and you don't see it anymore. Everything seems to flow really nicely. I remember the first couple of years, it used to be, it used to be like the old 4th of July fireworks. People backed up for miles.
Well, if you remember, when this thing went to a 2-day event and started to grow, I don't even know if Tom Cesario had purchased the property yet. No, he hadn't.
No, I don't think so.
He hadn't. Yeah. So, I mean, as he's expanded, especially with his RV parking lot, I mean, it seems every year he's adding. And then, of course, there's now I guess you call them the mini homes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's Tommy's business.
That's Tommy's business.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's got I can throw it out. He's got his triathlon coming up Columbus Day weekend.
Yes, true.
That's going to be in the village, starting at the beach, and it's going to be 2 different. I don't have the information. Maybe we'll get it for next week, but it's 2 different events. One for basically professional triathlons, and then like an amateur type one. It's going to involve biking, swimming in the creek, biking, and a run. Mm-hmm. And it's going to entail through the village, out I think through the town to some extent, and then back through the village.
Now, where's it ending?
It's ending again, I think, at the beach or at Diamond Mills.
Okay.
Yeah. It's starting at the beach. They swim first at the beach, then they'll bike from the beach, and then I believe they come back to Diamond Mills and then run, and then come back to Diamond Mills or the beach. And that was the preliminary plans, and I actually have the final plans in my office. But it's everything's starting and finishing between the beach and Diamond Mills down in that area. So that's going to be on Columbus Day, which is Tom chose that day because he figured businesses will be closed and there won't be as much, it won't impede traffic as much. It's going to be a morning thing. I know he's had signs out for it. And
of course, the day before that, Sunday is the Mum Festival.
Sunday's the Mum Festival. Saturday's the Mum Bowl.
Bowl, yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I have to say, on Thursday, go to Newark to pick my daughter up flying home from Coastal Carolina. And then Friday, she's going to go out and pick up my other daughter up at Boston from school. And then Sunday, we got to bring Jacqueline back to the airport to fly back to Coastal. Then Monday, we have to drive to Boston to bring Jill back to school.
So what are they doing? Coming home for the Garlic Festival?
No, that's not this weekend. Next weekend.
Oh, next weekend they're doing that. Okay.
They want to come over. Jill was planning on coming home for Columbus Day originally, because she's only 3 hours away. Then Jacqueline decided to surprise us, because right now flights are cheap, and she, I think it was $170 for a round trip flight from South Carolina.
How can you beat that?
And that's cheaper than driving.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we drove down with her. It was 3 tanks of gas driving down, and
tolls,
and so
wear and tear on the vehicle, wear and tear on the driver.
Yeah, she'll drive, and then I'm flying down in December. I'll fly down for her 21st birthday, hopefully, and then drive back with her for Christmas break, so she can bring her car back. But they've both been gone. Dana and I have been empty nesting now for 6 weeks, and we're still married, and still like each other. So it's been good, but it'd be nice. We definitely, as involved we are with our kids, we definitely miss them. And this is the first time they both, been away, but they're both excelling and enjoying being away at school. So that definitely makes our life easier when they're happy.
Yeah.
But it'll be nice to see them. But it's gonna be like a rush weekend,
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
But at least by Jack coming home on Thursday, she could drive to Boston on Friday and get Jill rather than saving Dana and I a trip. So that'll be helpful.
We got one more announcement there. You want to take care of that one?
Sure. You got the Italian Festival, Sunday, October 10th, 11 to 8 p.m. at the Kingston waterfront. There will be children activities, food, craft vendors, spaghetti and eating contest, and street performers. Live music provided by Angela Bruno, Andrew Hoban, Vanessa Racci, Vince Chirelli and his band, I'm terrible with names, Corey Pesaturo, and the Michael Dell Orchestra. We're familiar with those guys, right?
Oh, yes, we are.
Those are friends of Bob's. All current COVID-19 safety protocols for outdoor events will be followed. Shuttle buses are available at Kingston Point, Kingston Plaza, and Cornell Street Municipal Parking Lot. And again, that's Sunday, October 10th, 11 to 8 p.m. at the Kingston Waterfront, the annual Italian Festival. I'm sure there'll be some good food there.
Always is.
Good thing it's not competing with the Garlic Festival.
Always is.
I'm sure some of those vendors will be buying garlic at the Garlic Festival to sell at the...
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Kind of goes hand in hand. Is the Garlic Festival full this year of vendors? Like, do they sell out vendors?
I believe so. See, we got a lot of questions now.
That's good. Well, I'm just curious because after a year off, you wonder how it's,
Oh, yeah, and, still there's hesitancy with some people. But on the other side of the coin, from what we've experienced with the many events at the complex this year, it's like...
well, with the food trucks.
Oh, the food truck festival. I've never seen anything like that. And they brought extra trucks in this past time, and I think Fred might have mentioned it. One was a mac and cheese truck. We mentioned last week where it was by the pavilion, and the line went all the way across the road to onto the basketball court.
I don't wait in lines that long for anything.
Oh, it had to be an hour wait.
Other than Disney, that I had no choice. But I'm not a line waiter at all. I have no patience.
We got a nice lineup of guests. Lawrence, help me with her last name. Laura.
I forgot.
You forgot.
Okay. I lost track of it. We were just talking about it before the show, and now
come on in.
I've had I think they're knocking on the outside.
I'll get it.
That's right. I think it's your guest for 7:30. So if you want to go to break early, we can do that, or let's see who Bill.
Well, no, we'll go to break at the regular time. Oh, there's good timing. There. I couldn't think of your last name.
It's locked.
Like the store.
Nordstrom. And it's Lauren?
Laura
Nordstrom. She'll be joining us when we come back from the break. We're going to have to take a break in a few minutes. And then we have Patty Praetorius, who will be on at 8 o'clock after birthdays, talking about the Garlic Festival, which obviously did not take place last year. And as I mentioned, and the mayor and I were talking earlier, is happening this weekend. And then we have, I believe, Jerry and Perlman and Lisa Benjamin from Diaz Ambulance that will be joining us. I think Doug had a conflict, correct?
Correct.
We have Fred Costello just escorted our 7:35 guest in, supervisor, Town of Saugerties.
Good morning, everybody. You guys did a nice job.
Freddie come lately? Yeah.
Well, we got talking about this and that, and
the snake was quite a thing, but I think it was a copperhead, Greg, at the mini park.
Oh, was it a copperhead?
That sounds a little more reasonable than a rat or a bug.
They're rare there, though. I grew
Either
up
way, I'll never go to that park again. Yeah, I'm done. When my kids are grown.
Who took the picture of
Which
it?
park is this? So I know where to avoid.
Glasgow Mini Park.
Glasgow Mini Park.
But it's difficult to avoid because there's a pretty well documented copperhead habitat at Turkey Point between St. George's Beach and Glasgow. And generally, the black snakes would keep the copperheads at bay because they would actually eat them. And it's rare for a copperhead to be that far north. But they're around.
Send them back south.
Send them back south, exactly.
Back south.
Many, many years ago, my ball went into the pond on the other side of the fifth tee.
Yep.
And whacking around for it. I see it on the edge where I think I can hit the thing.
Black snake?
And then I look down, and wrapped around my ankle was a black snake, which are absolutely harmless. They're
but they're big.
Well, I remember one time,
fast.
I started at the same place. I was driving off the fifth tee, going past a pond, and I remember it was a Steve Bortell's, and this is like probably 15, 20 years ago, and I go, oh man, someone lost a tire there. I looked, we pull up to it. It was no tire. It was a freaking enormous black snake crawled up. Oh my God, I freaked. And then one time I saw it actually go across from like the fifth green.
Did you ever see the snapper, the turtle?
Oh, I've seen the snapper. Yeah,
Okay.
I love that thing though.
Boy, I wonder how old that thing is.
It's been there. I mean, long,
as long as I remember.
It goes back and forth between the fifth pond and
the eighth.
And the eighth, yeah. And it'll take like a whole day to walk up the eighth fairway.
It just lumbers, but it is large.
Successful.
All right, listeners and viewers, it is time for us to take a break. In fairness to our sponsors, we'll be back in a few. Take it away, Lawrence.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Have you ever experienced a wish come true? For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, One game, one adventure, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant the wish of every eligible child. Visit wish.org now to help grant more life-changing wishes. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
Hi, I'm Steve Thomas for Habitat for Humanity Restore. Habitat Restores are nonprofit home improvement stores and donation centers that sell new and gently used furniture, building materials, and appliances to the public at a fraction of the retail cost. The Ulster County Restore at 406 Route 28 in Kingston needs your donations. Call our hotline at 845-853-7499 to schedule your free pickup. And thanks.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? By shifting to a system that gives more patients access to strong primary care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
Screening exams for breast, lung, or colorectal cancers are necessary to detect and treat disease at its earliest, most curable stage. But you may have some concerns and questions. Answer your questions and ease your fears by visiting radiologyinfo.org. In addition to information on screening and wellness, you'll find more than 200 descriptions of radiologic exams, procedures, and treatments to help you prepare. Get informed and be prepared. Visit radiologyinfo.org, produced by the Radiological Society of North America and the American College of Radiology.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio has been brought to you by the First Savings Bank in Ulster County that still remains local to this day. Ulster Savings Bank, a community bank that's invested in local business, invested in community, invested in you. Ulster Savings Bank, your one-stop resource for everything local. Locations throughout the Hudson Valley and online at ulstersavings.com. Member FDIC.
Thank you, Lawrence, and welcome back, viewers and listeners who have been with us the first half hour. Those just joining us, welcome. 331-9255 is our call-in number. We'd love to hear from you. In the studio here with me is Supervisor Fred Costello from the town of Saugerties, Mayor William Murphy from the village of Saugerties, and we have as our guest here in the studio, Laura Nordstrom. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome back, because it's been a while.
It has been a while. I haven't been here since I worked for Kevin Cahill, so it's nice to be back.
It's nice to have you back.
I haven't been in the new studio
This
either.
is, I was going to say, this is
lovely.
This is the first time in the news.
This is the first time. There's always a long staircase, though, to get here. No matter which building you're in, I'm always a small woman walking up a staircase.
This is a nicer staircase. This is a much nicer staircase.
I like the lights that come on as you go.
Yeah.
It's very. I like the efficiency. It's clean. It's nice. It's a good spot.
They did a really nice job renovating this building. There is an elevator, though.
I know, but you need your exercise.
I agree.
That's right. It's early in the morning.
I agree.
Charge up the stairs.
I never use an elevator. If I'm above maybe the 12th or 14th
I did the
floor,
stairs
yeah.
10 times before I came in. I went up
Just
and
to
down
loosen
10
up a little bit.
Get my cardio in.
Yep. Well, Greg always makes you feel guilty if you use the elevator, so we can't.
Even I wouldn't use, even I wouldn't use it for
No,
one
I'm
floor.
trying to be
I
funny.
mean, that's kind of.
But yeah, this is a nice addition coming here. And it's been significantly improved. It's much more comfortable. The roof doesn't leak.
Much nicer bathrooms.
Nice bathrooms.
Yeah,
So
it's all around. It's much better. But I'm very happy to be here, and thank you very much for bringing me on. Yeah, so I'm running for alderwoman for Ward 7 for the Kingston Common Council, and
good for you. Yeah, exciting. This is your first political office?
yeah, this is my first political office. I spent 11 years in nonprofit, and then I jumped ship to go work for Kevin and started going for my master's in public administration. And this kind of just became a goal about 5 years ago. So I'm really excited.
Cool. Did you finish your master's?
I'm finishing in May. I'm in my last 2 classes right now.
And you have 2
Like
children,
now.
right?
Yeah. So just for the record here, I am a working mom. I work 3 days a week. I am finishing my master's. I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old.
Oh, wow. Wow. And you're campaigning.
And I'm running for office. So it's madness all the time, but I'm looking forward to after November. I will have 2 less things to do.
No, don't count on that.
For now,
Yeah,
seriously, campaigning and school at the same time is a lot, but it's definitely worth it. So
Good for you. Yeah, that's a lot of ambition right there. That's awesome.
yes.
So what motivated you to do that? I know I'm not surprised because I've known you long enough to know, but you've been involved in helping people so much. And when you were with Kevin, you were a tremendous resource for us in Sorgerties when we were calling upon you. There was a water system problem we were talking about with an operator who has 5 systems in Ulster County. One of them was in Sorgerties, and you were helping me with our residents kind of work through some of the problems they were having, and still grateful. But so I'm not surprised, but this must be something you had close to your heart for a while.
Yeah, so when I was in college, I actually took. I can go closer. I'm so used to being so loud. My mother would tell me, "You're being quiet. This is ridiculous." Anyways, so when I was in college, I took United Nations semester, and I kind of got a taste of politics there. We were going down to the UN every Friday. I think the coolest thing about that was we actually talked to Iran before the United States government did, like as a class, which, yeah. I love that we sat down in this room, in a conference room at their consulate, and they had these black folders, and you open up the folder. I still have it to this day. It was a little blue booklet, and it was the Iranian nuclear safe power program or something, and it was all about their nuclear program that they wanted to run. And this is something that literally 20 students from SUNY New Paltz had before the United States government did, because there was a no talking zone at that point. So that was my first taste. And then, working with the community though for as long as I was, when you're on the ground, boots on the ground, for lack of a better phrase, working with people, you're doing a lot, and that's great. But I started to find that just the nexus of change and like where the impact was like just above where I was. And you're working with people in need, and you realize that there's gaps in what they're getting in their community. And so that's actually what made me go work for Kevin. And then working with you and working with John Perry and working with all of these, municipalities and these town boards or city councils, and learning more about it, I just kind of came to the conclusion that I think I could make a really big difference if that's where I went. And so jumped in.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, there's certainly no shortage of activity in Kingston right now, so you'll be more than busy.
Kingston is always popping.
It's hopping. It really is. It's pretty amazing right now. As we all are in a certain way. There's been such a movement back to the communities in the Hudson Valley. Bill was talking about it in the first segment. We don't notice the Garlic Festival traffic because every weekend it feels like the Garlic Festival is here. It's busy.
Right.
And
which is a good thing.
It's a great thing, yeah. And we were trying to manage some traffic problems yesterday, and it was busy yesterday afternoon when we were out on the street.
Yeah.
So.
No, and that, as you mentioned, honestly, despite all the headaches we get, the real plus to public service is when it could be something simple, but you could actually make a difference for somebody on something that's simple, that maybe they weren't getting answers for, and it's really an easy solution, and you can make a difference in that person's day or life by just a simple measure. It could be anything, and that's what gives the reward of being in office, when you can do stuff like that, especially in small communities like we live in. You know everybody personally, and you try to help out as much as you can. Unfortunately, you do get those people that don't want to play ball, and no matter what you do, you're wrong, and and they judge you because of who you are, because of what you are, not who you are, and that part frustrates me, and it still does today. It did yesterday with a particular person, but then at the end of the day, I'm like, all right, I was able to help these 3 people today, get this done, get it, maybe it's getting a tree removed, or getting a pothole filled, or fixing someone's sidewalk, or just little things like that, and they make a difference,
Because you're never going to please 100%.
No,
I know I'm preaching to the choir, but you always have to remind yourself of that you're never going to please 100%.
And I've always felt that when you can resolve the little things quickly, you should do them.
Oh, absolutely.
Because then people understand more when it's something that's not so simple, and it might take a little time to resolve. Yeah. So when it's something that you can resolve, whether it's making a phone call or this and that, you should do it right away, and not let it fester. That's one thing I've learned over the years, and
don't let a molehill become a mountain.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
No question about it.
That is a big thing, I think, is that making sure that we address issues as they're coming up so they don't become these big, snowball problems.
And you need to work with other, I was just telling, matter of fact, one of the people running for town board came to my house the other day, Kylie. Right, Kaylee, yeah. And she ended up on my porch. We ended up talking for like a half hour.
I know Kaylee because Kaylee works for Assemblymember Gottfried.
Yes.
So when I worked for Assemblymember Cahill, we crossed paths.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Kaylee and I, we talk a lot, actually. She's really great. Socrates is going to be lucky to have her.
I think I bored her. I mean, of course, I get talking, and we're on my porch for like a half hour, and I'm like, okay, I've been talking too much. You came here to sell me, But I was explaining to her, how the dynamic of surrogates and how, you have the relationships that you and I and Greg have it, and superintendent of schools, and that's why things get done, because we do work together. It's not, there's no egos here, and we all. I was talking about shared services. And I said, we always get pressure from the state, and that we don't need shared service agreement. We do it on a daily basis. We don't need a piece of paper saying, to get some kind of credit for it. Just do it. I need something I know Greg can help me out with. I call Greg, vice versa. Same thing with Freddie. Same thing with the superintendents of schools. We don't need the state to come in and tell us to fill out a form and to do shared services. We've been doing it all along.
They give us some money for it.
And she was surprised to hear that, actually. I know, it would be, yes.
The only thing good about telling the state you're doing shared services
and I agree.
is get the money for it.
No, and I agree with that. But her comment to me, well, why isn't that in the paper a lot? I said, well, first of all, half the time the paper's wrong, But besides that, it's like you don't have time to do that. I mean, when things got to get done, we do it. It comes natural to us to rely on each other and help each other out. And we don't have to make a news article at everything we do to share services. For us, it's common practice.
You need our own paper.
We need our own paper.
Yeah. I mean, yesterday was a good example. Randy Ricks had reached out from the school. They needed a front-end loader. The day earlier, Rich had reached out on something. Then yesterday afternoon, I reached out to him about getting Luke today because we were one short with the stages. You're not going to have Vince Bono and those people that were lugging those things around. But yeah, and our proximity and location just makes it so ideal. We're right in a row. The high school, we're right smack in the middle, the Cantine Complex, and then the village DPW, and we've always had that great working relationship.
No, that's something Laura shares, because actually when you were working with us, you were part of Kevin's office, and Kevin's office technically didn't represent surrogates, but it didn't stop you.
I've always counted on Kevin's office.
Yeah, they're great.
I always have.
And I will say this because in case Kevin is listening, we always made sure to give due courtesy to the rep for Saugerties. But Kevin loves Saugerties, as you know, so it was really important to him to make sure that we
you didn't get the memo.
It's connected because it's the same water company, so you couldn't it just didn't make sense to leave Saugerties out of that equation when addressing the issue.
You didn't get the memo about bringing breakfast sandwiches?
But I have a 5-year. I'm going to go back. I'm going to use the kid excuse. I had 2 tiny humans this morning. I showered before I came here, and so it was
all right.
One of the two.
It was one or the other.
Yeah, it was one of the two. You either got a clean human sitting next to you, or you got breakfast. Next time, make you a deal. You bring me on again, I will bring you breakfast.
All right. You heard that, guys.
We're grateful. And
we're grateful you showered this morning.
I thought of it. I thought of you this morning.
Why don't you ask him?
I wonder if I should get breakfast sandwiches
and I did
coffee
shower
and
too.
pull a Kevin this morning.
So why don't you ask him why he didn't bring breakfast sandwich? You're new here.
You knew.
I knew.
I had a shower as well, Greg.
Where are you doing your master's?
I'm doing master's at Marist.
You are?
Yeah, it's been online from the beginning, so I didn't have to do the jump to online like everybody else did. But yeah, it's been online, and it's built for professionals. Actually, I think the lieutenant for Kingston Police Department is a graduate of the same program. He finished not too long ago. There's a lot of police officers in the program.
There really is a lot of police officers. Chief Sinagra did that program.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Captain Appleton, I think, is an instructor.
He's not one of mine, but yes, I think the name is. Okay. I've seen the name. It's a great program, and there are a lot of police officers. I will say that's been really interesting and really great to kind of get a conversation going with some of the police officers in my class, and it's interesting to see the different viewpoints and to kind of see how people's beliefs and ideas may change, or how they see solutions they didn't think were there. And I think that's always a really cool thing.
It is. And Bill kind of alluded to it when he was talking. People sometimes see Bill as the mayor or me as the supervisor, not as Fred or as Bill. But police officers run into that too.
Yep.
And when you have that opportunity that you're having to speak with them, they're just people like everyone else.
And I have people that I know that are police officers, and I had a friend growing up whose dad was a police officer. So I mean, I've always been exposed to
Law enforcement.
to law enforcement in a good way. But I think it's really important, and my point is I like the fact that they're in these courses. I think it's really important. They are very social science based, but they're also practical based, and I mean, this is probably the most useful program anybody could ever have crafted, to be honest with you. It's so applicable. It's incredible.
You really enjoyed it then.
I really do.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd be this excited. I'm taking economics right now, and I have to go home and write a midterm, and it's on the economics of crime prevention. And so it's
Oof.
Yeah, but it's really interesting how, there is an economic concept to everything. And so, it's fun. Didn't think I'd get excited about that one.
Yeah. No, I think, but it is interesting. I mean, I'm assuming investments in crime prevention programs, well, they may seem expensive on the front side, have a cost savings benefit if you avoid.
Yes, but interestingly enough, there actually is a point in which if you put too much enforcement on police officers and you put too much budget in, it actually reduces the social benefits at a certain point because you're putting so much resources into one area and it's not being spread apart.
Right.
It's not being, there's three pieces to the criminal justice system. There's detection and enforcement, there's the actual court system, and then there's the punishment side of things. And if you have one side more heavily funded than another side, that's great if the police are able to deal with enforcement and crime, but if you're not processing those people in the middle part of that, then you're just going to end up with a backlog, and then the other side is going to stop functioning as well. And so I think the equilibrium margin, I think it's called, it's something that I think is really interesting, that you have to make sure that it is spread out, because if you do have one side, and there is a negative social benefit to over-policing for the police themselves. You end up paying extra overtime. Their budgets get, really heavy. And I think, just addressing those things wisely and logically, I think is the most important thing. And there's a lot of emotions with this subject for people, understandably so, on both sides. But I think there is a very balanced, logical way forward. At least that's my thought.
No, I think that's a fair analysis, and balance is key to trying to serve the public. If there's too much of any one thing, it's usually bad.
Exactly.
And I think there's a fractured component to the justice system, because generally the policing side is funded locally, but the prosecution and corrections part are funded at different levels of government, and there's not always perfect communication between those.
Exactly.
So there's breakdowns along the way where those resources may be misallocated to a degree.
I think there's been a lot of, I think the uncertainty with police budgets, I think a lot of times, there is a reliance on court fees and those kind of fees that are coming in. And so I think I work in Hyde Park, so a lot of the court fees went down during the pandemic, obviously.
I was just going to say that, right.
Processed and things aren't going through. So you have a whole gap now, and then you have, this whole other section that's relying on that funding. So I think being cognizant of all of these different pieces, when you can't address one thing without addressing the other, is really what it comes down to. So, we can talk about police, but you can't talk about that without talking about the courts, and you can't talk about that without talking about, incarceration. So
And bail reform hasn't helped at all either. Helped that situation either.
I think bail reform is complicated, and I think there's definitely a needed aspect to certain pieces of it. I think how it's implemented and what specific things become bail eligible is really what matters.
I agree. I just, we see it. I mean, there's, in the last year and a half, how many repeat offenders we've had in surrogacies. We're now the chief, when he sent out the notice, he'll say, 5th time so-and-so arrested. And they go in, they're released. They go in, so it's, I think it
kind of reinforces the point you were making. So there was a gap. We can arrest people and bring them to the justice system, but the prosecution side wasn't geared up to handle this.
Yeah.
So they're coming from behind trying to catch up, and that's the result now. We're having folks that are clearly a menace of some level or need help at some level in society that, the typical tool would be take them in, they'd be held in bail, so at least for a short period of time,
maybe they get the help
before, and they might get the drugs they should be taking or whatever.
Right.
But that's missing now.
It's missing.
And
That's a point.
The prosecution part is still catching up.
No, and I agree that it's right. It's complicated, and I'm not disagreeing with bail reform, but I just don't think it's been implemented correctly.
No, I agree. I think there's definitely been issues, and I do think that it's necessary. But to that note, If something is like, if somebody's requiring medication in order to not get arrested, I think the issue is not getting them arrested. For me, I think it's having something else step in. Right. It's not having them have a record, because once somebody has a record, it just becomes this cycle. And there is an exorbitant amount of people with mental illness in prisons, and they don't have the services. You know, and then the other side of that is we don't have the services locally either. The mentally ill and mental health and wellness is one of those areas that's really near and dear to me. My husband actually has schizophrenia. So when I talk about, you know, people mental ill and police response, you know, I think of him. He's not running into the streets. You know, he's not, you know, having an episode or anything like that. But if he were to, I would want to be comfortable knowing what would be responding to him. Because that can be really triggering for people who are already in the throes of a mental health crisis. And it's not that I don't think the police don't do a good job. You know, KPD has actually helped, I want to say in the last 5 months, there's been probably 3 people they've helped off of a bridge. And I commend them for that. I think that's wonderful. But I do think it's important that we do have an alternate method. And you know, Ulster County has started doing that, and it'd be really great to expand those programs so that Captain Sinagra can focus on other things and all those kinds of, you know, other issues that I think need a lot of attention.
It's kind of interesting for us to watch local policing get redefined and to capture what you just said. You know, there's a clear gap in mental health services, and many of these folks need assistance. And law enforcement really isn't equipped or trained to handle that in many cases. And community policing now is being redefined where we want that training. And there's a whole bunch of...
But I think that goes back to my other point, though, where do they need to have it? You know, if you have so much put on the police department, who is already stretched thin, do you have enough police officers doing what we're asking them to do? You know, so the question really becomes, do we give them that training? Yes. But also have that alternate, have that other piece.
Right, but without a doubt. And I think they even acknowledge your point, because they're like, you know, I didn't sign up to kind of do analytical work. I'm kind of here. I wanted to be a police officer. I want to do traffic, and I want to do those things. And I really wasn't looking to kind of assess the situation and figure out, is there a propensity for violence in this individual? And, you know, but the young folks are embracing it, and it's probably not the right tool to bring to the job, but that is the tool that's available for now. I think as this police reforming kind of continues to evolve, there'll be better tools going in place. I applaud Sheriff Figueroa. He's really trying to bring those tools within the department so that there'll be units. You know, we have units for drug enforcement. We have units for emergency responses and things like that. But this part is still missing, and they're trying to reinvent and bring that to the table. And I think that is exactly the right approach on professionals who are trained to handle those situations.
Yeah, and I think the other good thing, Sheriff Figueroa is also, you know, shifting drug intervention and having it be less incarceral and more towards the actual resource side of things. I mean, again, you put these people into cycles and it just becomes this constant revolving door. And so I think, you know, having the opioid task force and all those kinds of things shift the focus for people, I think is really important. And I'm really excited that that's the direction that they're going with that.
It's come a long way, I would argue.
Oh my God! It's compared to 30 years ago, policing compared to now, it's a whole different.
It's a different.
And that's the thing, though. Like, that's exactly the point. Is the job of being a police officer has completely changed. I mean, from when I was a kid, it's completely changed. You know, I remember Officer Olmos coming in to teach DARE, and he was our school resource officer, and you know, there was X amount of police officers I could have counted on the East Fishkill, you know, police force, but. You know, the job they do is so much different now. You know,
even our
changes and what we ask of them has changed, and that means the training has to change, but that also means the structure may have to change, and there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle.
Yeah, I mean, our current, we've noticed in the last couple of years with our current DARE officer. You know, like you said, back in the day, the DARE officer was in school. Now our DARE officer is so integrated into our high school. I mean, you know, in the last year of graduation, he got recognized for I think 8 kids who graduated, who went to graduate. I mean, he's not only a DARE officer, but he's making sure these kids go to school, they get their homework done. He makes them accountable. And it's amazing how many kids in the last 3 years since he's been our DARE officer that probably he made the difference between them graduating and not graduating.
Last year, during the pandemic, there were 8 students that were right on the borderline whether they're going to be able to graduate. and he took them. He wasn't allowed to use the school, used our Greco Center, and I think it was 3 days a week, and taught those students, and I believe all of them graduated.
It did, and what a difference he made. I mean, it's not just the kids. I mean, he's integrated the whole school. Like, my daughter and her friends were all athletic and got good grades and loved school, but he was part of their group. I mean, my daughter's away at college now. She still stays in touch with Travis. He checks on those kids, and it's amazing the relationship he's developed with all these kids, and he's taken the DARE program to a whole different level.
And I think that's really important, is that those relationships with the community, and I think that's something that not every police officer has the opportunity to have, and I think that really helps both sides.
And it's got to be the right person for the job too.
Yeah, no, I agree. Definitely, but I think when the community feels connected to the police officer and vice versa, the relationship and the overall policing and just well-being is better for everybody. You need that trust. You need that.
And I think that's helped. That's a good point too. I think the kids that coming through school now are developing more of a trust for the police force because of him. They see what he's willing to do for them, and maybe realize that not all the police are bad, or So I think he's definitely probably giving these kids a better perspective on policing than previous guys. Because previous DARE officers were always good, but they're there just for a specific program, and and Travis just saw the opportunity to make them more, and it's really.
He's really redefined the SRO relationship.
He started scholarship programs. He's done everything. It's just he goes on his class. He goes on his senior trips as a chaperone, and just so involved. I mean, he goes to graduation parties, and again, you see his phone. I mean, he must have probably 500 kids on his phone, and they all stay in touch with him. It's really neat, and he remembers every kid. Every time I see him, he's like, "Hey, how's Jacqueline doing? How's Jillian doing? And again, that's the thing. Like, he's not just integrated himself with the kids who are in need. He's integrated himself with all the kids in the school. He's
done an amazing job, and he gets his
himself part of the community, and that's
absolutely.
That's what
he found his niche. He really did.
And I'm thinking back.
We're lucky to have him.
We are
absolutely.
Yeah, we definitely are. We try to be supportive in any way we can because he's done such an amazing job. And he's also embraced kind of, it's not really, I'm going to say alternative justice, but it's a loose use of that definition because there's, you're 14, 15, 16-year-old males, you're going to do dumb things.
Like the restorative justice.
Yeah. And he has enough of a relationship and enough of a rapport that, I know one instance where there was a kid that was driving pretty bad, and he's like, all right, give me your license. And he kept it for a month. Didn't give him a ticket, but he kept his license for a month. He met with his parents, talked about it. They had a video of him doing something dangerous. And that young man was way better off for that experience than he would have been if he went to court and had to answer to the
Absolutely.
judge.
Absolutely.
Infinitely better.
And it's those restorative justice concepts, especially for youth, are so important because it keeps them from being 25-year-olds who are then locked up later. So
right on.
Keep them out of the program, out of the system for as long as you can. Try alternative methods, and then you can. It's one of the things I loved about working at the Boys and Girls Club. Those are the best 7 years of my career. In all honesty.
Did you work with Dan when you were there?
I did not work with Dan. I worked with Joe Fay.
Okay, perfect.
No,
He's
Joe
great, too.
Fay is. If Joe's listening, Joe is hands down one of my favorite humans on this earth. He is just magical. I am so lucky to have started my career under him because under him and working with those kids is what made this place my home. Yep. I'm from across the river, but I came here after going to college at New Paltz, and honestly, Joe was such a mentor. He taught me so much. He taught me the best thing he ever taught me was when if a kid's in trouble and you send them home for the night, don't keep pace. Don't match them word for word. Just let them go. Because I remember this one day, me and this kid were just going at it. I was going to the door, and he was like, Laura, come here. And I was 22 at the time. So he pulls me in. He's like, Laura, next time just let Micah go. And I was like, and it just fixed everything.
You want to take it now or after the break? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Good morning, caller. You're on the air with Kingston Community Radio.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
And good morning, Laura. I've been following your campaign since the beginning, and I'm just a little confused about one thing.
Sure.
When you were on Radio Kingston, you stated you were against defunding the police, yet your three biggest endorsements, Rise Up Kingston, Nobody Leaves Mid-Hudson, and Citizen Action, are all about defunding the police. With Rise Up Kingston saying there should be no police and chanting the F the police at the Common Council meeting. So are you against defunding the police and just proudly accepting their endorsements, or do you really agree with your endorsers?
So I'll clarify a couple things. Rise Up Kingston does not endorse, and I'm not endorsed by Rise Up Kingston. I am endorsed by Citizen Action as well as For the Many, which is formerly known as Eastman Hudson. I am endorsed by them because I believe in police reform. In those endorsement interviews, they're very extensive, and I think I make myself clear when I talk about what I want with police. So for me, defunding the police, that concept is a lot of what we've already talked about. It's shifting, services to areas where they could be enhanced. So like we talked about mental health and addressing that in a different way. So when I think of addressing police reform, that's what I think of, and that's the approach that I'd like to take. So, for some people that is defund the police. For me, it's enhancing services for the community where we can best serve the community. And that's still providing support to the police where they need their support. Like Fred and I were talking about, it's providing them training where they need training, but also making sure that we have alternative methods. So it's not so strict or simple as saying defund, get rid of. For me, it's a lot more nuanced than that. And so that's kind of the best answer I can give you, is that I'm endorsed by those organizations because they believe in the approach that I have, which is to talk to the community and to also work with the police in order to make change happen where it's needed.
Okay.
Thank you for your call.
Thank you so much for calling.
We appreciate it. Okay, it's 8:01, almost 8:02. It's time to take our break. We'll be back with birthdays and Patty Praetorius.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Introducing the YMCA. Sure, you know the Y for a swim or a game of hoops, but we're more than that. We're a cause. When you take a jump shot at the Y, someone else is getting job training. Practice yoga as a team practices her leadership skills. We give people of all ages, incomes, and backgrounds a chance to learn, grow, and thrive. So while you might think of the Y as the place for lifting weights, we're also about lifting entire communities. That's the Y. We're so much more. Visit ymca.net/more.
This is the story of Daniel, who was born 2 months early. His lungs weren't ready. His heart wasn't ready. His parents could only hope that one day he would leave the hospital healthy, and they would all live happily ever after. Daniel's is just one of the more than 500,000 stories of babies born prematurely last year. You can help the March of Dimes stop premature birth and bring more babies home healthy. Learn how at marchofdimes.com. Working together for stronger, healthier babies.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer? The Drug Facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the Drug Facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/Drug Facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Hi, this is Tony Marmo from Norman Staffing, and we've been bringing together employers and job seekers since 1980. If you're an employer and have job vacancies, let Norman Staffing help fill them with permanent or temporary workers. We screen, interview, and recommend the best candidates for your company. We make the employment process easier and faster for you. Please call Norman Staffing for your employment needs at 338-9111, 338-9111, or normanstaffing.com.
Hi, I'm Ruth Quick from Town of Ulster. I support Kingston Community Radio, and you should too.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
Thank you very much, Lawrence, and welcome back, viewers and listeners. For those that have been with us, welcome. Those just joining us, 331-9255 is our call-in number. We would love to hear from you. We've got Patty Pretorius waiting in the wings is our next guest. But before we do that, we need to do birthdays. What do we got here, gentlemen?
I'll start. I have a happy birthday to Debbie Decker from your friends at the Hurley Pearlers.
And I have a happy birthday, actually, to a friend of mine, Marianne Schaefer. Love your family and all your friends. Have a wonderful day. So happy birthday, Marianne.
Yeah.
And today's winner of that famous cow pie from Boyce Dairy Milk House is Marianne Schaefer. Marianne Schaefer, congratulations. Happy birthday. When you get to the opportunity, get down to Boyce Dairy Milk House, 62 O'Neill Street, right here in Kingston, New York. Pick up that famous cow pie, which is courtesy of Boyce Dairy Milk House and Kingston Community Radio.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say, Marianne, if you do get that cow pie, you can certainly drop a piece off at my office. I'd appreciate it.
Listeners, it's please continue to send those birthdays in. It's very, very easy to do. You can email to kcr921@gmail.com. You can postal mail to Kingston Community Radio, P.O. Box 4364, Kingston, New York, 12402. So once again, Marianne Schaefer, congratulations, happy birthday, enjoy that cow pie, and have an awesome day.
Saw her Saturday.
And I didn't mention to our new viewers and listeners that just joined us. Fred Costello, Supervisor, Town of Sorgetes, is in the studio here, and Bill Murphy, Mayor from the Village of Sorgetes. And I believe we have Pat Pretorius.
Yes, I'm here.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. It's a beautiful day. Looking beautiful for the weekend, too.
Yes, it is. And hopefully, we have, hopefully, the weather forecast holds true. I did see this morning if there's any possibility of any showers, it's later in the day on Sunday.
We'll just have Bob Circumstantial go light a candle. And
It'll be okay.
It'll be okay then, yes.
Good morning, Pat. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Pat.
Good morning, everybody.
So at the first half hour, Patty, Bill Murphy and I were talking. The online sales, I was aware of it because I believe in talking to Janine or Doc Kapler. What's the reasoning when you hit 14 or 15,000, those online sales shut down? Do you know?
Well, excuse me. I have a morning cloudiness here. We are only allowed by the company that we use to sell a certain amount of dollars. There's a limit on our online sales. That's set by the company and not by us. So once we sell out of that number, we're done. I'm sorry if people haven't been able to get their online tickets, but they are available at Adams Ferry for Farms, Smith Hardware, Sawyer Savings Bank, and M&T Bank.
Now, there is also, unless you changed it this year, there's a discount if you purchase your ticket at those locations in advance as opposed to at the gate that day.
Yes. The tickets at the gate are $10 cash. If you buy your tickets prior to, I believe we're doing the sales through Friday. Seniors are $7. No, I have that wrong. Adults are $7. Yep. Seniors are $5 each, and children under 12, at both instances, are admitted free to the festival. So,
okay.
We do encourage people to get their tickets early, but their tickets are available at the gate at full price for $10, which nowadays is not a bad price to get into a festival.
I don't know where you can go for $10.
My friends are out of town, so let them pay the $10.
It's all for a good cause.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, so obviously, I know in 2019 it shut down. So obviously you're experiencing good advance sales through the online. How have the advance sales been at the establishments that you just mentioned? Are you seeing about the same as in previous years? Is it more? Is it less?
I did stop in at the Adams Fairacre Farms, as I do every week a couple of times, to do my shopping. And she said the sales have been down, and I was kind of disappointed in that, but I'm hoping the other establishments have have had sales. I have to check with. I'll be in town today checking with Smith Hardware, Sawyer Savings Bank, and M&T Bank about their sales. So.
Oh, jeez.
But I think people may be a little leery, and without buying advance, I realize the online ticket sales really flew out the door. But I think people with circumstances as they are, I would do it myself. I'd just buy the ticket at the door for the additional $3, and
Yeah, that's a good. That is a good point.
I think.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think given the forecast coming this weekend, there's going to be a lot of folks at the last minute to be like, oh, we forgot this weekend's Garlic Festival, and find their way up, regardless of advanced sales.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And there are so many things going on in the Hudson Valley this weekend. You don't spend, people don't spend 2 days at our festival. We've got the Woodstock Film Festival. Across the river in Rhinebeck, we have a craft festival over there. I think we're just going to see a lot of people wandering around and hitting all the festivals that they have available to them.
Yeah, that's another good point. There's just and it's been every weekend. There's just so much that goes on every single weekend. I mean, which is good because we get obviously a big influx of people from outside the Sorgetes area, tourism, and you and I talk about the economic impact on that all the time, and that equation, what every dollar spent equates into 7 economic dollars. The other thing that the mayor and I were talking about early on was that I've had several people, and I'm sure you have, what to expect, crowd-wise, and what we have seen from events that have taken place at the complex, and the Food Truck Festival is a perfect example. The Sorgetes Stallions game, it was like people just wanted to get out, and especially that it's an outdoor venue. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see.
Yes. We're hoping that we have a nice crowd as usual. We always hope we have a nice crowd, but it's a pandemic.
Yeah. How about with booths? Are you completely full on booths? What was the turnout like with those that have been there for years?
We've had a few regulars back out due to COVID. Also, another problem is people do not have the help. We're going to be missing our pig roasting people down by the bandstand stage.
Oh wow, they've been a fixture.
They just don't have enough help to come to the festival, and I'm really, really disappointed about that. They've had amazing sandwiches all the time, but we have at least 90%. And people who have backed out, we have found other people to take their place. So we'll have around 200, a little bit more vendors both days. And I think there'll be plenty for everyone to wander around and see. We're going to have entertainment at 3 different stages each day. And also the Arm of the Sea Theater will be performing 2 shows each day. So there's going to be plenty for people to do.
Well, that's good to hear that some of them that have backed out, you've gotten others to replace, and I think that's 90%. I mean, I don't know if you could ask for much more of that in a pandemic.
Yeah, there's such a diversity of.
We're very happy with the response. I'm getting a lot of. We started doing a Facebook page and an Instagram, getting a lot of positive responses in that area. Everybody seems happy that we're back in business this year, and they're eager to come.
Yeah, there's such a diverse offering of foods, and you can't go there, and the aroma is just motivating to want to eat more than we should. It's really special, and I think something that gets overlooked a little bit is the craft. The craft area is significant. There's a lot of different crafts that people can pick from and find something of interest there as well.
Yes, I was just looking at our craft area, and online on our website we have an old list, but most of the people are coming back, and it's quite a variety. We have a people work with, we have an ironsmith coming, we have wooden puzzles and toys, candles, gifts made from wine bottles. Last year we had or 2 years ago rather, there's a unique booth run by veterans that make all these different kinds of wooden flags, and they're very lovely. I have one hanging by my front door. Wooden pens, just quite tutus and wands and capes for the kids. It's always fun to see the kids wandering around in their little outfits that they bought at the festival.
And getting face painted.
Well, I'm afraid we're not going to have face painting this year.
Understandable with COVID.
Yeah, because we won't have a children's tent, and we're not going to have chef demos and garlic lectures. We decided that putting people under tents was not a good idea, and so this year that's not going to happen. We hope to reestablish it next year.
I mean, that's thoughtful, though, because are there other protocols that you're doing to kind of reflect COVID?
Well, we are requesting that unvaccinated people wear masks into the festival. It's going to be on the honor system.
Right.
So other than that, that's about it. We're hoping that people will social distance. I know that's difficult to do in a line waiting for the delicious garlic food that you want. But we'll do the best we can. And if people are uncomfortable, then it's their option to stay or leave. So we can't do too much about it. But
my observation at the food truck festival, though, is that folks get it, and they're mostly mindful. We don't go shoulder to shoulder when we're waiting in line. We kind of leave a little bit of space and stick within the pods of the folks that we came from. So I imagine the people that come to the Garlic Festival will do the same thing.
Yes, I'm sure they will. I haven't heard any complaints about our request for people to wear masks because, in a lot of different events, they're requesting, your vaccination card and different things like that, which we are not doing. We're just hoping that everyone will be careful.
And I think one of the advantages this festival has over other events or venues is that it is largely an open air, and you folks had the foresight not to put people in congregative settings under tents as it is. So the whole thing will happen in open air, and we're getting a good weather forecast. So,
Yeah.
And as I mentioned to the mayor, I realize in the Midway, Pavilion Street, especially in the area of the large pavilion, Mosier Drive, it does get very, very congested. But once people have their food, with the amount of green space, let's face it, no activity takes place on any of the ball fields, the physical ball fields. They have that opportunity to social distance there and not be with crowds. And, let's face it, if somebody is totally uncomfortable, don't come. That's because there are some people that still, I think, are very nervous about it, and that's good that you're going to have a sign posted, because I agree with that 100%. If you're not vaccinated, you should be wearing a mask, even though it's an outdoor event. I don't care.
That is the CDC guidance too, though.
Yes.
We've
is CDC guidance though for outdoors?
No, it's all indoor.
It's indoor.
Yeah,
but still, I think
indoor is mandated in some areas. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
went city restaurants.
Yes, I went in the stands a couple weeks ago at the Yankee game, and you had to show proof of vaccination. They got the clear lines at the major sports venues. But yes, I agree 100% with that.
Yeah, I think that just as long as everybody, we've been under the onus of this pandemic now for a year and a half, and I think people are getting used to wearing masks, and I'll have a mask on all day. I have a elderly mother-in-law who lives in the area, and I'm just not going to take any chances with, infecting her or anything. So everybody has their own level of comfort, and we hope that they will continue to abide with the rules and make sure everybody's safe.
I remember Pat making sure I had a mask on every day when we were doing the food distribution. I'd walk in some days and she's like, "Billy, your mask." It took me a while. It took me a while to get
I
used
know
to it.
it's tough. I sometimes start walking to the grocery store and turn back to my car.
Yep. I don't know if there'll ever come a day where we don't have a mask in our car anymore.
That's true.
Yeah, it's true.
You know?
True. Yeah.
It's almost a fixture on everybody's rearview mirror.
Yeah.
Or under gear shift in every car, you know?
Got it in the glove compartment in both vehicles, and
Except I didn't realize you're supposed to wash masks. You know, I go home, like, my wife's got all hers hanging. I'm like, "What are you doing?" She goes, "Wash my mask." She goes, "Haven't you washed yours?" I said, "No." I guess maybe I should.
I'm back to the disposables.
Yeah.
I can't. I ruin. My clothes are like single use. I get something on them every time I wear them, and my mask falls in the same category.
There was something else we were going to ask Pat. You had.
It was about the COVID protocol.
Yeah, no, there was something else besides that.
How many vendors?
I'd like to it's an obvious thing, but Qantas has. The three of us know this firsthand. Qantas has kind of filled the void in fundraising for so many of the improvements that happen on Cantine Field and throughout Saugerties. And the Garlic Festival is the primary fundraiser, and you folks are an amazing community partner in that way. You also do a scholarship. You want to talk about what you folks do with the proceeds?
Oh, sure. All the proceeds raised at the Garlic Festival go back to the community in one way or another. As we do have the high school senior scholarship every year. We also contribute to the Boys and Girls Club. They're one of our major contribution requests. I'm sorry, I'm here looking for my list. We this past summer with the American Legion baseball holding the championships in Saugerties, we helped out with that. We take requests every month. We get letters from the various groups in town, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. We help out the food pantries, and one thing that we especially like, Ulster County Community College has this program for upcoming scholars. They pick a person in the 8th grade that you then follow to their graduation from school, and then they get free tuition to Ulster County Community College for 2 years at the beginning of their college career. So that's a program that we really are proud of, that we support. We help out the Key Club at the high school. Those kids will be with us this year at the Garlic Festival, as usual, helping all the volunteers. There are many volunteers that come and help out at the festival all the time. So, and Builders Club, we just, I don't think there's ever been a request that's been denied. It might not be, if they want the sun and the moon, they're not going to get it, but try to help out everybody in the community.
Yeah, it's been what a tremendous resource for Saugerties and beyond over the last 30 years when you folks have been able to do this, and it's really amazing. And I think it's worth noting too, other organizations, Blue Cats, for example, their primary fundraiser is the Garlic Festival, and
that's a good point.
Yeah. And they'll St. Mary's, the Scouts themselves, and
we love having all the community groups come and have a booth. Blue Cats, their breakfast sandwich is totally amazing every morning, and the Boy Scouts, their garlic chowder is just yummy.
Two of the booths I always hit up. Obviously, the Blue Cats in the morning, and I gotta say something with the Blue Cats. Sunday morning cleanup. I've got about 20 people working. There's village DPW running the loaders, the trucks, the sweeper, town highway, likewise with equipment. And when they're all done, Blue Cats takes care of them. Mm-hmm. And it's they don't have to do that. I tell them that every year, but They just continue to do it.
They're one of the best kept secrets.
They are one of the best kept.
A lot of people don't know about them, and
yeah, they're a special group of individuals, and they whatever they generate at the Garlic Festival, they'll give that back to the community too. And one of the things they do, I don't know if they don't want people to know, but I know there's always been families in needs struck by some tragedy, and they're one of the first ones to kind of show up and give a little bit of financial support when it's most needed. So, one of the things that defines Sororities now is the Garlic Festival.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely. We're for Sororities. Well, where's that? And look where the Garlic Festival is. Oh, yeah, we go to that every year. It's kind of really it's a pretty special thing.
Very seldom do I go out of town or down to Florida or to our national, wherever that happens to be held, and it's a different city every year. I mentioned Sororities. For the most part, people know where Sororities is. Yeah. It's
not in a car show.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just for our viewers and our listeners, and I think this is very, very important. As of either the 2016 or 2017 festival, the Kiwanis Club of Sororities had contributed over $2 million back into the community. And I can't remember if I had those two banners made after the 17 festival or the 16 festival, just the way the years go by. And as I've always have said, if it wasn't for the Kiwanis Club of Sororities, there would not be an ice skating arena, an ice skating rink in Sororities. Plain and simple.
Plain and simple.
Plain and simple. No and, if, or buts.
We've been, but if you take that farther, there wouldn't be Stallions because there wouldn't be lights on the baseball field. There wouldn't be the skate park. The Kiwanis has been such a tremendous
$15,000 scoreboard that the American Legion requested many years ago would not be there.
We've been
well, it might be, but it wouldn't have been to the extent of what that scoreboard is. That's a minor league, major league scoreboard. It's got all of the innings. It's all the bells and whistles.
Yeah, it's pretty, we're fortunate in so many ways. And Pat, I got to compliment you, Jack, Rick, Sandy. You folks have been doing it for the whole time. And that's a testament to you folks as well. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a wonderful event. And, volunteerism makes you feel good. So all of us, it's a lot of work. I'm not saying that it isn't a lot of work, and a lot of help from the town and the Parks and Recreation and the police, and it's a real community effort to get this Garlic Festival up and running every year, and the community benefits from it. And you can't say any more, any less, but
no.
It is a wonderful event, and we enjoy it, and we're happy to disperse the money back out to the community. So.
Yeah. And I feel this year is special because last year we couldn't do it. Doing it as long as we have, there's a component of taking it for granted that it would happen every year. And last year was the year it didn't happen. And coming back this year feels right. And I'm glad we're celebrating it because I think it's a special event for Sororities, for the region in general. And it was deeply missed by a lot of folks last year. So this year we're going to go back at it. And I'm sure anybody who comes will have a great time.
People, you don't realize what you actually miss, and to the extent that you miss. And I've relayed many, many times here scenarios with myself. And this week, we've always taken for granted because they're there all week long. They're there after the Garlic Festival, the Ulster County Work Release Program, the inmate crew. Sheriff Figueroa has not revitalized that, obviously, as of yet. And boy, oh boy, it really hit. And we normally start the Monday prior to the Garlic Festival. We started 2 weeks, a week ago this past Monday, and we're going to be pushing it the next few days. You just don't realize how much they did and how vital they were.
And they help us with the Mum Festival and Cedar Park as well.
Yes, usually during Wednesday or Thursday.
If you're done with them.
With the cleanup, after I'm done with them. And
they come over and help us finish getting the park ready for the Mum Festival. That's a great program.
You got to mention Tom Strazzeri, too, because his generosity with his facility allowed us to improve traffic. I know you and Greg talked about that at the first segment. in parking without the support of HITS, it wouldn't be as good of an experience as it is for folks.
And many
to come.
people in the community don't understand that partnership.
No, and that's, very good point. They don't understand that partnership, and there's times people start to bash him, and boy, I give it right back. Because one of the things that makes the Garlic Festival so successful is the ability for people to park and either take a 1-minute shuttle bus ride or a 5-minute walk, whatever they choose to do, because there is a walking trail from the orange parking, the free parking, where if it wasn't for that property, there'd have to be satellite parking all over the place.
Well, any impact on Washington Avenue would be completely different. Once those cars are parked, there's no traffic on Washington Avenue. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Folks can walk without competing for the shoulder at all.
The one way that we instituted on Kraut Road, we'll get some criticism every so often. It's less each year, but that one-way traffic and having the 2 lanes made all the difference in the world. I remember traffic used to back up to the 9W and the Malden Turnpike.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Patty, we are out of time. Thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule. Thank you for all that you do. And the Kiwanis Club, the Garlic Festival Committee, and actually, let's see, I'll be seeing you, 23 hours from now. We have our annual...
Friday morning has a big red star on my calendar. Woo!
Oh, you're not coming to the pre-garlic meeting we have tomorrow morning?
Oh, yes, I am. Yeah. So
that's why I say I'll see you in 23. I'll see you.
I'll be there.
All righty. Thank you very much.
It's a normal thing, you know.
Bye, Pat.
Bye, Pat. Thank you.
Right.
We'll be back in a few.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM. And also online at mykcr.org.
There was this one time I went snorkeling in the Caribbean when I was a kid. It really just blew my mind. We saw the most beautiful corals. I remember thinking they were waving at us as they moved with the ocean. And then there were all these amazing fish. I'll never forget it. It completely changed the way I look at the ocean.
Most of us have a memory of being in nature we'll never forget. Let's protect the world's natural places so more memories can be made for generations to come. Visit worldwildlife.org.
We are Lions. We bring hope where it's needed. We are a global force for good. Support causes that matter. Change lives. Change communities. Change the world. We can do more together than we can alone. Join in. Experience the joy of serving. Be part of the movement. Give back. Let's unite the world for good. We are Lions. You can be too. Visit weserve.org.
Have you ever experienced a wish come true? For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one adventure, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant the wish of every eligible child. Visit wish.org now to help grant more life-changing wishes. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
This is the story of Daniel, who was born 2 months early. His lungs weren't ready. His heart wasn't ready. His parents could only hope that one day he would leave the hospital healthy, and they would all live happily ever after. Daniel's is just one of the more than 500,000 stories of babies born prematurely last year. You can help the March of Dimes stop premature birth and bring more babies home healthy. Learn how at marchofdimes.com. Working together for stronger, healthier babies.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
A powerful community bank is one that has leaders that are involved in their community. At Rondout Savings Bank, they invest in the success of our community by working side by side with local people and local businesses. When you choose to bank Rondout, you are part of a bank that is dedicated to the future of your success and the success of your community. Rondout Savings welcomes you to open an account today and discover what it means to be part of a powerful community bank, one that knows you by name. Rondout Savings Bank, always working for you and our community, with branches in Kingston, West Hurley, and Hyde Park, also online at rondoutbank.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Thank you, Lawrence, and welcome back, viewers and listeners that have been with us for the morning. Those just joining us for the last half hour, welcome. 331-9255 is our call-in number. In the studio here with me is Supervisor Fred Costello, Town of Saugerties, and William Murphy, Mayor from the Village of Saugerties, who just had to jump out in the hall to take a call. And we have our two guests from Diaz Ambulance, Steve Thornton, who is...
We got one on the line. We have Lisa on the line. I lost Steve on accident.
Okay.
What is that number again? Fred, give me that to me, and I'll give him a call. Give me 1 second.
Good morning. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
I'm good.
So
Hey, Lisa, thanks for calling in.
We momentarily lost Steve, so we're trying to get him back onto the line. But thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day. I know how busy you and the folks at Diaz are.
We are preparing for the Garlic Festival. So.
Oh, is that taking place this weekend?
It is.
We are all preparing for the Garlic Festival. And we just had Pat Pretorius on the last half hour. And so I don't know if we're going to be able to get Steve back on. His phone keeps going to...
It's going right to voicemail now.
Oh, jeez.
Or if that's his landline, it's an answering machine.
Well, I think, yeah. So, Lisa, I'm glad you're taking time to come on. Diaz is like the third pillar of emergency services in Saugerties. And
we've got Steve Thornton from the Diaz Board of Directors, I believe, back on. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Fred. How are you?
This is Greg.
I'm here too, Steve.
Fred Costello's
here.
Fred Costello's in the studio, and Mayor William Murphy is in the studio also.
Oh.
Hello, Steve.
So welcome.
And we've got Lisa on also.
Morning, Lisa.
Good morning.
All right. Thank you, folks, for joining us. I think, Diaz is the third pillar of the emergency services for our community up in Saugerties. And I hope this is an opportunity for you guys to talk about some of the things you have done over the years and continue to do, and the partnership we have with the town and with the fire service and the police department as well.
Instead of saying third pillar, say one of three.
One of three?
There's no ranking. They're all.
I like that better.
Yeah. They're all equally important.
Yes, okay.
And as we get older, Diaz is number one on my list.
Yeah.
Well, Bob Circasano tells me all the time that's why he does a fundraiser down at the Petition. I need those people.
And I'm only 100 yards from them, so I got easy access to them.
Yeah. So, but I do mean that sincerely, and
Yes.
I know in many ways the partnership you have, especially with the police department, you folks are always there helping with car seats and bike helmets and CPR training and things of that nature, which is not necessarily a mandate that you do that. That's just a demonstration of the deep relationship we all share.
That's true. Saugerties is a phenomenal community, and the relationship between the fire departments, the police department, and Diaz Ambulance is very unique and probably unlike anything else in this region. We work very well together, and I certainly wouldn't be able to do my job here at Diaz without them.
I mean, and obviously the evidence during the pandemic is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Hopefully things have slowed down for you guys considerably compared to probably last year at this time. But I mean, I know what you guys went through. It's unbelievable.
I think one of the reasons to bring awareness is things have not slowed down, and you've become more and more reliant on third out calls from the fire department, correct?
We have. Diaz's call volume has went up about 30% in the last 10 years. We average about 250 calls a month, and we have two crews 24/7. We put the fire departments, Glasgow, Mount Marion, and Centerville, Cedar Grove, we have an agreement that when our 2 ambulances are out and there's a 3rd and 4th call in the district, that they will go and administer first aid until we can get an ambulance to them, because every ambulance agency is short-staffed, and you never know how long it's going to take for an ambulance to get there. So we really need to have at least a 3rd out crew 12 hours a day, 7 days a week to kind of help, take care of all our residents.
Yeah, the difficulty is the volunteer firemen, and volunteer is the key word there. These folks are turning out for these 3rd or 4th out calls much more frequently now than they did 2 or 3 years ago. And it's just becoming too much for them. So, something has to change. And
Steve, are you on a speakerphone? Because we can barely hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
I'm
better.
on a regular phone.
That's better.
That's better already, yeah.
That's better.
Is that better? Okay.
Yep.
So I was talking about the volunteer fire departments that are helping out with these 3rd and 4th out calls that have escalated over the past couple of years to the point where they just can't handle it anymore. These are volunteers that are going out in the community to try to fill a gap where they can, but it's just not sustainable.
Right.
So it's really important that we get this 3rd out ambulance online.
So I think a point that we should make as well is we're grateful for the fire department's willingness to help support, but the fire department response is not the same as what the ambulance can offer. And certainly if there's a transport needed, the fireman can't do that, correct?
Yes, that's true.
Absolutely.
So there's services that the fire departments are not likely to be able to administer where a paramedic or an EMT could more likely be able to offer that service plus the transport.
Not to mention what Steve said, they're volunteers, so
They
it's
are
not always
volunteers.
100% they're going to be available.
True.
I think
Right, and even if a paramedic works for Diaz Ambulance, if they're not working on that particular day and they go out with the fire department on a critical call, they are not allowed to work as a paramedic with the fire department. They also wouldn't have the gear to do so.
Right.
They can only provide basic first aid while they're on the scene.
So then you mentioned that there's 2 ambulances, and I think that relationship for most folks is not completely understood either. The town actually contracts for ambulance service with Diaz, and part of that contract requires that Diaz keep 2 cars available for our residents. That is a relationship that I think is unique in Saugerties versus the rest of the county. There's different solutions in different places, but our solution seems so far to have served us with a level of service that is not necessarily existing in other parts of the county.
Yes, that's correct. We have 2 paramedic ambulances on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And a lot of the other agencies will have just BLS ambulances. They don't have paramedics, so they have to wait for a paramedic to come from someplace else. Or they'll have a fly car system with just a paramedic, and the paramedic can get to the scene and provide care, but if there's no ambulance to transport, that's also a problem.
So I think in critical care, especially like with heart trauma and things of that nature, response time is critical to a successful outcome.
Absolutely is.
Oh, with a lot of those response time is very, very critical. I don't know how many times I sit on Ulster Avenue at the railroad tracks, and it seems the trains are longer and longer, and they're slower and slower also. And to sit there, and I'm always thinking, what if there was a medical emergency right on the other side of the tracks there? And you're sitting in an ambulance now waiting to get across. I mean, sometimes you can literally sit for 3-4 minutes. Yeah. And
that actually, we monitor that very closely, and which is why we have relationships with the police departments and the fire departments. If we happen to get stopped by a train, The police normally are always on the other side. They respond to most of our calls as well. They carry first aid supplies. They carry AEDs. If it's a critical call, the fire departments are automatically dispatched the same time we are. So there is help getting to that person before we manage to get there.
And I remember just recently talking to my fire department, and what is it? Maybe we confirm this, Lisa, that, is it West Camp, or not West Camp, I think Cedar Grove actually responds up to Railroad Avenue, because even though Railroad Avenue is in the village, the fact that there's a train crossing there, we could be hindered just like they are.
Right.
So we have an agreement with Cedar Grove to cover that part of the village.
Yes.
You know, another key point, too, is Diaz is a 911 only ambulance, which means we're not doing transports from the hospital to a nursing home or to a nursing home to a doctor's appointment. We're strictly emergency only, which means, you know, the 2 rigs we have are available just for medical emergency calls. You know, if we were doing these interfacility transports, our ambulances would not be available as much as they are now.
I think I'm glad you brought that up, Steve, because that is a valid point. Some of the other services in our region, they kind of rely on the revenue from doing transports, and then in the instances where there may be a paramedic car available, they'll dispatch that in response. But in many cases, if those cars are tied up doing transports between nursing facilities and hospitals or other medical facilities, they're just not available to answer emergency calls. And the relationship we have with Diaz exclusively prioritizes those emergency calls.
Yes.
Exactly.
So I'm glad you brought that up. It's a valid point. So looking forward, in response to the increased call volume of over 1/3 over the past decade, you folks have come up with a proposal to add a 3rd rig.
Yes, we have.
And we also are looking for... So one of the things I think we should talk about a little bit too. So oddly, you know, with all the talk about pandemic and essential services and everything else, you folks are not defined that way.
We are not. We are not an essential service in New York State.
Greg just looked at me like I had 10 heads. They're not an essential service. Correct. So that translates into many things. And a lot of the pandemic relief, they were not eligible for because they're not essential.
Right.
That is so ridiculous.
There's an acknowledgement amongst the state leaders, especially from our area, that this is backwards thinking and wrong. But it has not manifested, and the state still has not recognized ambulances as an essential service.
Right. And we actually have been fighting this as long as I've been in the business, 25, 30 years. We've been fighting this, and it has gone nowhere.
Which is a little bit odd to me, because I get the honor of speaking with a number of state officials, and they all get it. They speak to it just as I'm speaking with you now, that this is an absurdity. But I don't understand the dynamics that keep it held back.
If you went to 100 people and said, is an ambulance service essential, how many no responses do you think you would get?
I don't think you would get one.
Most people don't know it.
Well, that's why part of the reason I wanted to mention on air, I'm sure amongst our listening.
I didn't know it.
I didn't know it either.
That's why I looked at you like you had 10 heads.
Well, you know, the other thing about the ambulance services a lot of people don't know is we do not get paid for probably 30% of the work that we do. When we are dispatched out to car accidents and do evaluations, if that patient's not transported to the hospital, we get no money. If we go out and even provide an ALS, say we have a diabetic patient, their sugar's low, we start an IV, we give them dextrose, we speak with the medical control doctor, they don't go to the hospital, we don't get paid for any of that.
Not even for the supplies you consumed.
Nothing.
Yeah. I think that's worth noting, and you've been great partners with Narcan, and that's also a similar situation.
Yes. So anything that we do not transport the patient to the hospital for that we do not get paid for.
And that's a function of the payment system that basically is defined by the federal government.
Yes, because emergency ambulance service, even though we have paramedics and EMTs, we are considered transportation only.
Right. In addition, any meds that our paramedics administer on a call, whether we transport or not, we can't bill for.
Right.
You know,
right.
we're
Even if we
just
transport a patient and we do a cardiac arrest, we use a lot of medications. Some medications, a couple of $100 a dose. We cannot itemize bill, so we can't get reimbursed for any of that.
So there's a cruel irony in, and I think this has gone down substantially, but a few years ago, folks were using the ambulance, claiming some type of emergency, and getting a ride to Kingston, basically, and then not being admitted. And that bore a cost and depleted a service that was needed. That seems to have rectified itself, though.
No.
No?
No, we still have people who know that the ambulance cannot refuse to take them to the hospital and use us as a taxi.
Unbelievable.
That should be criminal.
Well,
If it's not, if it's done a certain way, but it doesn't. If they go to the hospital and register in the hospital, then they're considered a patient, and once they register, then they'll walk out. But if we take them to the hospital and they don't register, they leave the minute we get there, then it's a criminal offense. And
Right, because they called 911 for emergency services.
Yes.
Because as Steve alluded to, you are strictly a 911.
Yes. But you know what we consider a 911 and what they consider a 911 is totally different.
I bet.
So
it's unbelievable.
So to summarize a little bit, the revenue that supports Diaz comes from reimbursements through insurance and Medicare and Medicaid. About half of the revenue that sustains your operations, and then the other half is the contract with the town that obligates you to providing the 911 service.
Yes, correct.
Okay. And as we move forward with the hope of a third car, we're hoping to change the contract with the town to require 3 rigs for 911 service.
Yes, correct.
Okay. And that would hopefully meet the demand and the growth for calls that's occurred over the last 10 years.
It would certainly impact it greatly, yes. I mean, it still won't help for anything overnight because we're going to have it 12 hours a day. But we don't seem to have a lot of third and fourth out calls overnight, which is why we're going to put it on 12 hours during the day. Our plan is to run it from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., which covers a majority of the third out calls. And then, of course, if there are fourth and fifth out calls, then we're back to where we started from. But I think it will certainly help a lot.
So you have seen your quote-unquote peak demand from 9 in the morning till 9 p.m.?
We keep, we keep records on everything, all our times, when our calls come in, particular times, particular days of the week. And it seems that most of the third and fourth out calls that we have would be between 9 in the morning and 9 at night.
You see an uptick like on weekends, Friday nights?
Most people think that, but no. And actually, normally our busiest day of the week is Tuesday.
Interesting.
Believe it or not.
Interesting.
Is there theories why Tuesday would be?
Yeah, we've tried to figure it out, but no. And we have our medical charting programs tells us what day is the busiest, what hour of the day is busiest, where our calls are, how long it takes us to get out the door, which is usually under a minute. So it's,
I could see Monday being a day because if they're a long weekend, but
we all take
Tuesday doesn't seem logical at all.
Yeah, I find that interesting.
Yeah.
Tuesday. I would never have guessed.
Nope. I know back in my days when I was still not behaving, there's some Monday mornings I probably could have called Diaz, but
just needed an IV for rehydration.
Your definition of not behaving is elevated over a lot of people.
Yeah, you're not behaving back then and the not behaving today is totally different.
Yes.
So, how about we talk a little bit about pay scale?
Hey, okay, so
Lisa's very good
all right, go
about,
ahead, Steve.
Lisa's very good about tracking pay rates of other EMS services in the area, and we have tried to do our best over the years to give our people a pay bump, once a year or year and a half. However, we found over the past couple of years we were losing staff to other services in the area, and it was primarily because of pay rate. We've tried to hold the line for a long time with the pay rate, but if we were to continue and have EMTs and paramedics, we had to do something. So we gave our folks a raise to bring them more in line with the other local EMS services, and we've managed to maintain the staff we have and hire some new folks to replace people who had left previously. We're going through similar things that other businesses are doing. There's help wanted and positions available signs all over the place. People are looking for a better pay rate, and you can't blame them. So that's another issue that really puts a financial strain on the organization.
And what is starting salary for an EMT?
It was $14, and we've recently bumped it up to $16.
I think that will be a little bit of a surprise to some folks, because you can see, entry-level positions popping up all over the place at that pay or better in some cases. And, these are folks that are engaged in life-saving activity, and to find out that they're only making equivalent to someone who's, being a clerk or making my coffee in the morning is a little bit startling.
Yes, because McDonald's is starting them out at 17. So.
Yeah.
Yes, but you got to keep in mind you're not essential.
Well, that's the whole thing.
McDonald's is essential, huh?
I still can't get over that. That's totally wrong.
That's why if you eat too much McDonald's, you're gonna need EMTs.
Yes, but keep in mind that garbage trucks are essential employees.
Yes, as soon as you said that, I'm thinking, I just thought of ones that are essential. I'm like, are you kidding me? Oh, my God. That makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
And our ongoing education requirements, especially for paramedics, it's nonstop. We have to have so much continuing education, of course, because of the job that we do, and medical control meetings with the doctors, and which is why we're not getting a lot of people getting into this field anymore. Classes are smaller. Every agency is grasping for every person they can get their hands on. So somebody really has to do something soon, or
yeah, I can imagine the mandated training, and this is one of the problems we experience in the in the fire companies. And I'm a life member of Malden West Camp, and the training from when I first joined back in the late 70s especially if you go up the ladder and become chief and assistant chief, the amount of training that's required, that's what's turning a lot of them off. And I can imagine what it's like in the ambulance service.
Yeah, it's a lot. It really is.
Lisa and Steve, we're just about out of time. I want to thank you both. Steve Thornton, who is on the board of directors, and Lisa Benjamin, who is the manager of Diaz. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day. Thank you, Fred Costello. Thank you, Bill Murphy. Thank you, Lawrence. Most importantly, thank you, listeners. We'll be back here next Wednesday.
Thank you.